The three main campaign targets of this Scottish Cuba Solidarity campaign are the abolition of the American trade blockade against Cuba, freeing of the Miami Five, and also to encourage people to visit, to go on the Solidarity Brigades if possible, because in that way you get to see the real Cuba and meet the real Cuban people, and not to see the tourist version of Cuba, which tends to be beaches and booze and not really give a realistic picture of it. The background to the Miami Five is that since the revolution there has been activity by expatriate Cubans sympathetic to the Batista regime based in Miami in Florida. They have organised repeated terrorist attacks in Cuba with the aim of terrorising tourists, wrecking the Cuban economy, the tourist economy, and in that way undermining the revolution. These are very often the people who looted the Cuban banks, who took the money with them when they fled Cuba after the revolution. The terrorist attacks included invasion of Cuban airspace, dropping explosives, kits to make explosives, anti-revolutionary pamphlets, and in one television programme I saw recently, religious medallions from an airplane at a height flying over Havana. In order to try to stop this activity, 5 Cubans, known as the Miami Five, went to live in Miami and infiltrated the terrorists, gathered information on them in order to convict them, because under international law their acts are illegal. When they went to the American authorities with the information and evidence that terrorist plots were being organised from Miami, instead of arresting the plotters, they arrested the 5 Cubans and held the trial in Miami, which is very, very hostile to Cuba and where there was no possibility of a fair trial. They were convicted unanimously by the jury. The evidence was never questioned, and they've been held separate from each other in various American prisons, and their families have been denied the routine access to which they're entitled under even American law. There have been campaigns to free the 5 supported by Amnesty International, by several Nobel Peace Prize winners, and by prominent authors and peace activists. There was a review after Obama came into power, but it's been decided that the conviction was valid and is to be maintained, despite the fact that there is evidence which hasn't been looked at by the courts, and despite the fact that they were actually providing proof of terrorism rather than carrying out espionage activities. It's been proven that they had no access ever to classified American infiltration, that what they were doing was monitoring terrorist groups in Miami. Despite this, their appeal has been refused, and at the moment, as things are, the campaign to free the 5 is organising further pressure. We're asking people to petition their MPs here to sign an early day motion to pressure America into freeing the 5. And the other thing that we can do is write to the Miami Five individually. Amnesty International is also supporting this campaign and organising a letter writing campaign. It is important that they're not forgotten, and that the United States authorities are aware that world opinion is in favour of them. Their families have visited both the camp I was on with the Solidarity Brigade and the Parliament in Edinburgh. They've spoken at the cross-party committee in Cuba, and we held an open meeting in Glasgow with them. main issues now are to gain public support and to gain international support to pressurise our politicians and the American government to hold a fair trial for the five, and to hold it outside of Miami in a part of the States that isn't so viciously anti-Cuban, where there's a possibility of a fair and more thorough trial, and eventually to free the five. They are innocent, their families are campaigning very hard on their behalf, and we're sure that one day that they will be freed and returned to Cuba.
Thank you very much, Dorothy.